What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown podcast March edition. I'm here with Rob Roach and AJ Petrarca. Welcome to the first recording in edition of our podcast series. Rob, AJ, thanks for hanging out. You guys maybe want to do a little intro on yourselves?
I'll start. I'm AJ Petrarca, General Manager of Sales here at the chemical company. I manage a basket of products that include urea, glycols, dicyandiamide, NatureFlex 509, which is a non-phthalate plasticizer, based out of our home offices here in Jamestown, Rhode Island. And looking forward to getting the podcast kicked off.
Yeah, and I'm Rob Roach, president of the chemical company. Pretty much manage on a macro level the sales of the company and steer the ship. Pretty much is what I do. 20 plus years now into this, and love what I do.
Same thing for you, AJ, right? Coming on 10 years? Has it been 10 years?
I'm 9 years in, going on, I think 10 in June. I'll be my 10-year anniversary, so I'm almost a decade in. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
We were just saying, like, when I, just seemed like yesterday I was the young guy at the office. Now I'm the old guy at the office. Kerry just introduced me the other day as the old guy, so yeah.
Yeah, and I'm happy to say I hired AJ after he did about 20 push-ups, so.
When I showed up in my full suit and Rob was in board shorts and a backwards hat and sunglasses, yeah.
Things haven't changed too much.
And my name is Ben Swicky. I'm the marketing manager for the chemical company. So we're looking forward to getting this podcast series running. I think we're excited for where we can take it and the different people we can feature and things we can talk about month to month as a supplement to our View from Jamestown email newsletter. I think, first things first, just kind of what's going on, what's on your guys' mind, anything high level, any things coming up, vacations, big breaking news, things going on. What's happening in your guys' mind?
I can say the number one thing that's on my mind, and I think most everybody's mind, is freight. I think everyone's sick of talking about it, but it's still front and center. And I was actually just chasing down our logistics guys outside, trying to get answers on freight rates and stuff like that. It's a constant and worsening problem. I don't know. Big picture, that's pretty much what I spend a lot of my day on lately is just trying to figure out logistics and how to improve and secure product to get it to customers on time. That's pretty much, the big topic of conversation lately.
Yeah, I'd pretty much mirror that. We don't need to beleaguer that point. I think we've gotten the point across in our prior view updates. But yeah, I tend to keep my TV on in my office nowadays because geopolitical trends, what Donald Trump tweets, what's happening in the world, war, this is what drives our business. Shortages, lack of availability of this, who's going to be president of what country. I mean, these are the things that really drive our business today. Certainly pay attention to the major things like natural gas, oil, propylene, ethylene, benzene, etc. But it's amazing how quick things affect our business and how small the world is today.
Yeah, and I think one of the recent topics coming up too is the thaw season starting. I think AJ can probably speak to that a little bit. What that is, how it's going to affect our customers, our suppliers, as well as pretty much anyone in the related industries.
Yeah, so the thaw season specific to the urea business that we do, we represent Yara on urea, and we bring material down from our terminal in Contrecoeur, which is just outside of Montreal. And starting on March 5th is what they call the thaw season, where we have to decrease the amount of urea we ship per truckload, just so it's easier on the roads. And that typically lasts for a month or two typically?
Yeah, a couple months usually.
Yeah, so that's gonna, so for super sack customers, it's gonna mean, instead of getting a truck with 22 super sacks, it's gonna come with 21 super sacks. So something we deal with every year.
And of course, if you're shipping less, your freight rates are higher. The cost of freight is higher, so the cost of goods is higher. We usually don't pass that along to our customers. But it's it's a fact of life that 40,000 pounds versus 42,000 pounds is means that the same freight rate is that much higher.
And that's an annual thing. So we deal with it every year. It's not just specific to us. It's not something going on in the industry today. It's just that season. I think something else, obviously, Trump's politics are always kind of in the news in one way or another. One of the most recent things he's mentioned was potential tariffs on steel and aluminum. While that might not directly affect our business, how might that shape the chemical industry or affect the chemical industry, import-export wise?
It's going to have massive impacts. I mean, if it really goes through and there's retribution from the EU or Asia or Canada or Mexico, it's going to affect our business. So it will have direct impacts. I mean, it's common for us to import goods from the EU, from Middle East, Latin America, Asia, wherever in the world. Duties and tariffs are a way to balance, if you will, the economics of the economics of the country producing versus our country and the costs. We obviously pay our workers well, and some countries don't. And the cost of labor is a major factor in goods. So it makes us nervous. We're big partners with major producers in the EU especially, and if there is a trade war, it's not good for us. It means that there'll be higher duties to import products, and that means that maybe some of our producing partners may back out of North America.
And I think all these things kind of tie into the marketing campaign that we've pretty much just started and are really starting to roll out there around our security of supply campaign. Maybe Rob, if you want to talk about what that is, why we're promoting that so heavily, and why you think that's going to be so prominent in the next 3, 6, 12 months, even longer.
Well, there's never really a total balance. It's usually a buyer's market or a seller's market. I mean, in today's world, it's a seller's market, and we won't take advantage of that. But really, security of supply is something that is a factor in every level of our business. Whether it's the security of AJ and my job, we're happy in our job, we share the profits, we're long-term employees. That means that our customers are protected. We see the same faces. We trust the people over time. As leadership, my father and I, we protect this company through credit insurance, through massive amounts of liability insurance. We partner with large, vertically integrated producers that know that investment in what they have is important, and we secure the logistics. We have a separate logistics division that is also insured liability-wise, and they're so and then our customers. Once they're a customer of ours, we protect them. We make sure we lose money at times by keeping a lot of product in inventory for them. We make sure that if they're going to buy from us on a rateable basis, if they're a true partner of ours, that we're a true partner to them, whether it costs us money or not. We're not looking for every last penny. So in summary, it really is just on every level, the core of our business. Security of supply is what we bring not only to our customers, but our producing partners.
Absolutely. Anything else? News, trends going on? Anything you guys see going on that's going to be a recent impact, a potential long-term impacts? Anything else going on in the market?
I don't know, AJ. What do you think? I think that there's some complacency right now. I see, there's maybe a quiet period right now. People think that prices are going to go down. I don't believe so. I think that there's very high demand out there right now. We're having a hard time keeping our inventories full because demand is good. If there is an outage, a force majeure at just about any one of the products that we handle, it's going to be catastrophic because there's been so much production in China that's simply gone away. And The chemical industry has been very dependent on low-cost goods from China for a decade now. They've gone into a new realm in their country where they don't want to pollute. They don't want to, those people that were champions of industry and heroes of industry are now criminals, and they're shutting these plants down and they're turning the power off if they're polluting. So I think that it's not a good time to be complacent. It's not a good time to do, reverse auctions and put things out to bid. I think you really need to be a true partner to your suppliers, whoever they are. So that's what I even like propylene is down this month. I think it's U-shaped. I think it's gonna pop. It's gonna come back. The prices are gonna move up. It's a good time to maybe build inventory right now.
And so that segues kind of nicely into our next category, so to call. Pricing updates, trends. What do you guys see going on as we kind of swing fully into March? What are you guys seeing in the raw material energy markets?
I can speak specifically to urea. Urea prices have been flat through Q4 into Q1 of 2018. We did increase prices for March strictly based on freight. Again, going back to the freight thing. But I wouldn't be surprised to see an uptick in pricing going into April, just as the ag season gets into full swing, and people start to buy, start to build inventories and make fertilizers, for the upcoming season. Also what goes along with urea is dicyandiamide. Prices have spiked tremendously, from the end of 2017 until now, just with all the troubles in China with the regulatory changes. It seems like it's plateaued a little bit now that everybody has their material in place for the ag season. So we'll see where the price goes from here. That's probably going to be stable to possibly down a little bit, as we go into the summer months.
Interestingly, oil's been above 60 despite record production here in the United States. It's also been following the Dow, which has been interesting. I've been watching that a good bit lately. When we talk about supply from China, I hate to flog this horse, but we talk about supply from China and the lack of supply from China. A good example is coal. Coal, they stopped production of coal in China over the winter. They had a hard winter. Coal prices went up significantly, and the United States started supplying significant amounts of coal to China. So a lot of people want to look at the lack of supply from China. Well, if there's a lack of availability, I have a problem with that word today. Availability. Okay, there we go. The prices of goods into China are rising, and this is getting the attention of our producing partners. If all of a sudden, and the demand, as we know, can be massive in China. So if all of a sudden you could send it to the United States, or you could keep it in Europe, or you could keep it in the Middle East, or you could get a real high price for it in China, where are you going to send it? So that means there's going to be less available for the rest of the world. And I'm starting to see this. We came out of the Chinese New Year, all of a sudden, something that is supposed to be long forever, 2-ethylhexanol or butanol, for example, prices are way up, and people are selling these alcohols into China for higher prices. And I see this trend continuing. If they need to move their plants away from cities or come into chemi parks and there's a lot of disruptions, they still need product. There's still massive populations in Southeast Asia that want goods. So this isn't really associated with pricing updates of anything specific, but I think across the board, you're going to see higher prices, not because of raw material costs rising, natural gas, crude oil, benzene, toluene, xylene. It's because of supply and demand.
And you mentioned, I think a couple of days ago, we were talking about crude oil being tied to the Dow, and that was something that was different from what you're used to seeing.
I'm a finance guy. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to watching, goods and raw materials and S&P 500, the Dow, NASDAQ. And one thing I've been noticing is if the Dow goes up, crude oil price goes up. Why is this? How does that correlate? Is it because people are now trading in crude and making profit off of it? It's strange to me. It shouldn't correlate. It shouldn't, especially when you've got, OPEC flooded with oil right now. You've got massive amounts of oil being produced here in the United States and inventories high. Yet we're trading at $62 a barrel WTI. Brent 67, 69. I mean, why is this happening? It's just something that it's a conundrum for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else on pricing updates, trends?
Well, I think, AJ covered some of his products. I mean, you just want to keep an eye on your inventories. I mean, we've also seen a trend in recent years of keeping low inventory, especially at year end. We had a very strong December. People saw the forthcoming price increases with the transportation issues. That's something we haven't touched on yet today in terms of chemical production. All the people that we depend on that sell us the chemicals that we sell, we've seen force majeures, especially in the nylon chain, because they couldn't get raw materials, because the trains aren't showing up, because the trucks aren't showing up, the barges aren't showing up. Weather. Oh my God, weather is impacting everything nowadays. We're up here in the Northeast. We've been out of power over the weekend. Luckily, it was over the weekend. And by the way, TCC, again, security supply. We got a generator. We got a backup generator. We've got a core that will always operate no matter what. If we get a Cat 5, we're going to be operating here. We have DACA, or what's the system called? DATO system, where we can literally go down and go to Starbucks and continue to operate our business. These are the investments that we make in our business to make sure our customers always have rateable supply. And that's why this podcast is good. It's not an infomercial. This is real. When we have a good year, we protect our customers, we protect our producing partners, we protect our employees. That's what we're all about. And being a private company, we're operating without the influence of a financial oversight from a company, a roll-up company. We're still independent. We're growing organically. We're not buying. We're not selling. We just want to do good business for our customers. So,
and I think you made a good point too with the trucking piece with our suppliers. Even I think personally, my desk is very close to AJ's and Javier's, and I hear him talking on the phone and talking to our logistics guys, and customers call up and obviously aren't happy with prices going up and aren't happy with delays and stuff like that, which is to be expected. But this isn't just us. It's all the way up the supply chain. We're happy to give customers a price and let them manage freight themselves. And I think a lot of times come right back and say they can't do it, so it's not just us. And I think it's an important point we've been trying to make, that this is just the industry and the way things are going now. And it's not just a TCC problem. It's an industry problem.
I think that's a good point, because we tend to beat up our trucking partners sometimes and try to get the best rates or the best service, but we need to realize that everybody's kind of going through the same thing, whether it's a producer or an end user, shipping out their finished goods. I think everyone's kind of feeling the same crunch. And I think it took a little bit of time to get to this point where everyone realized that this is a real problem, but I think people are starting to plan better and give better lead times, just because it's the state of the industry right now.
You have to keep in mind that freight, whether it's rail freight or truck freight, for us is a service. We make money on pounds sold of chemicals. So, really, the trucking part is something that we offer as a service to our customers. And if you look at the macro trends, which again are so important, fracking is exploding right now. What does that mean? More trucks to move wastewater, more trucks to move oil. We had a short period of time where we were trying to move our trucking to the rail via transmodal, and everybody was doing that. So all of a sudden the rail lines are backed up. So there really is there is a solution to this, and that's better forecasting and longer lead times. Right now I've heard of a couple major producers asking for 5 weeks lead time. These are domestic producers in the United States, lower 48, to domestic customers asking for 5 weeks lead time. I mean, 10 years ago, it was just in time, the trend that came, or even 15 years ago from Japan. I mean, this is, we're just out of time now. I mean, it's amazing to me that, a major, one of the biggest producers in the world here in the United States is now asking for 5 weeks lead time. It's because they want to deliver on time. And we've used humor and videos on the view from Jamestown. We've put reports out. Now we're putting out a podcast just to educate our customers how important it is to give us enough time. And then, I mean, just the other day, our customer service experts were saying, hey, listen, the truckers are calling the shots nowadays. So even if you give 5 weeks lead time and they say they're going to pick up on Tuesday, maybe they got a higher price to haul somebody else, and they're going to go and run over and do that. So it's not just e-logs and the retiring of all these older drivers and no new young drivers coming into the trucking industry. It's the increased demand on transportation as a whole.
And I think you made a good point there too, with all the things that we're doing with the View from Jamestown email newsletter. We put the View on the website. Now we're starting a podcast, and kind of tying back into the security of supply campaign is we want to be a partner with customers, with suppliers. We want to be talking about, in kind of this format and any format we do, what's going on in the industry and just helping people understand what's going on. I think the podcast, hopefully will be beneficial. People might not have a half hour to go through the View, which is understandable. And, put this 20-minute, half-hour podcast on. Hopefully a lot of you listening are, sitting at work, in the car on the way home, on the road. Hopefully we can just keep producing good content and, helping people out and, educating as best as we can, kind of from our eyes and, from our View from Jamestown, obviously. Featured products, what's relevant going into March, coming into springtime. I think this might be a good category for AJ, managing a lot of the agricultural products. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I already touched on a little bit about the seasonal demand for urea and dicy. Actually, both of those have nitrogen sources for crops. So going into the spring season, obviously demands up on those, as well as different phosphates, potassium, KCl, things like that. So anything ag related, it's right in the middle of the high demand season right now. I think also we're going to see an uptick on other products that go into building materials, because this is also the demand season when people are making roofing and adhesives and stocking up, because now that we're exiting the winter, people can do construction outside, and the demand for those type of products will naturally increase, as well as solvents, because a lot of solvents go into adhesives and paints and coatings and building products. So this is typically a high demand season for a lot of what we do. So we're trying to manage it and keep up on everything.
And I know on the TCC side, obviously there maybe isn't a whole lot we can get into this early, but I know we've got a couple projects coming up, looking more into Latin America and other regions. Anything you want to share on that front?
Well, yeah, we have a lot of new products that we'll be bringing on. Of course, we're careful in each and every product that we bring on before we actually announce it via the View or talk to our customers about it. We want to make sure that each step is covered and that we have all our ducks in a row to make sure that we can supply ratably. The Latin America has been a big growth area for us. We have a lot of investment there. We've got an office in Mexico City and a warehouse in Mexico City. We have Javier Fernandez here in the office who manages all of Latin America, and he has people that work for him throughout Latin America. We want to support Latin America. We want to support all the Americas. That's what we are today, is an American distribution company. We have some business in Southeast Asia. We also have a few products that are now our own that are REACH registered. And we're shipping some back into the EU. Some products like adipic acid, 911P, et cetera, that we're shipping back to the EU or into the EU. But many of our producing partners are in the EU, and we'll continue to foster those relationships. So I think what you were asking was specifically about Latin America. We'll have butane diol tetrahydrofuran for Latin America. MTBE is still used as an oxygenate there for gasoline. we'll have that for Latin America. So there's some exciting stuff that's happening for TCC in Latin America, and we've got great leadership in Javier Fernandez. He's also one of the funniest guys you ever met. So, yeah, there's some real exciting things for the future of TCC, and we're always investing in where we can help and secure supply to all the Americas.
Yeah, and if anybody listening is looking more for maybe info on Latin America, South America, we can link up Javier's contact info in the show notes, and we'll hopefully have him on the show sometime soon. I think it'll be a good addition. Maybe getting into some more fun stuff potentially. Got a whole lot on the events, shows, and conferences front. Maybe AJ, I know you're going to be attending a lot of them and have historically attended a lot of these shows and probably have the best grasp on all of them out of maybe anybody. Maybe you want to talk about what's coming up?
Yeah, 2018 is a big year for trade shows for us. A couple of smaller shows just this week that we're going to attend, and walk. The New England Turfgrass show up at the Providence Convention Center is on Thursday. Also, there's the Foam Expo, which is a polyurethane specific show. Kind of a smaller trade show, but it's really good that it's specifically to PU people. We're going to be promoting TDI and polyols and MDI and things like that. Obviously, the AFPM is our big one every year. We'll have a group down there. We're hosting a cocktail party on the Sunday night. Hopefully, we can see everybody there. After that, in April is the coating show, which we'll have a large booth at out in Indianapolis, and then after that in May is the NPE, which is every 3 years, and that's another big one for us. So yeah, I'll see you at all of them.
Yeah, and obviously the coding show is every 2 years, correct? And then NP is every 3 years. And this is the magic year that they're all lined up.
The stars align this year. Yep.
Yeah, should be a fun string. Rob, maybe you want to talk about our cocktail party at AFPM a little bit. Kind of why we do it, and what we're hoping to get from it down in San Antonio at the end of the month.
Well, it's connected to the Western Museum, so you got a chance to go and tour the Briscoe Western Museum, is it? And
Yep.
Yeah, last year was our first year, and it was very well attended. The food was amazing. The drinks were great. The people in attendance are, after 20 years, they're all great friends of mine, and it's just kind of nice to see all your great friends and have a relaxed time and a cocktail with them and maybe some food. It's right on the Riverwalk. It's a short walk from all of the hotels that everybody's staying at or attending meetings at. We really want it to be casual. We don't want to have, there's no intense TCC marketing going on there. It's just a time that we can relax, chat, catch up, and find out how our friends are doing and their families are doing, and hopefully everybody's doing well out there. So yeah, I look forward to the cocktail party. My father's coming down to AFPM this year too. He'll be there as well. And we always have a large contingent there because everybody independently has a lot of meetings. And like AJ, we've got a lot of very bright and capable people that work for us that, that this is a very important event for them to go and see their contacts and plan. Plan for the coming year, even though it's not the beginning of the year, it's not the calendar year, it's really the beginning of the year. And NPE this year, we usually head over to APIC in Asia, but unfortunately we're overlapping with the NPE. That's the National Plastics and Engineering Show in Orlando. It's a monster. It's the equivalent to the K Show in Germany. Happens every 3 years, I believe, and
2019 is the next one.
2019 is the next one. So that will be next year.
The next K Show.
Next K Show.
Oh, MPE I think happens every 3 years.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
But yeah, we'll be at the K Show as well in 2019. But NPEs are, you see people from all over the world. It's a monster show, and you have everything from chemicals and equipment and everything there. So. But back to the cocktail party. I hope you can come if you're listening to this. If you're attending AFPM, I'd like to see you there, and it's a beautiful event.
Yeah, a lot going on. going to be a busy spring and busy first half of the year, but I think it'll be good. There's a lot of good stuff happening. One thing I think maybe we backed up a little bit. Rob, you mentioned your dad. You want to maybe talk about your dad, how he kind of fits into the whole equation, just in case anyone's brand new to TCC or isn't familiar with the backstory?
Well, really, my mom and dad started TCC in, reincorporated, but started TCC around 1988. My mother passed away in 2000. I came in 1997, around the time that she got ill with cancer. But my father's been running the show from the time we had $0 in sales now to where we are today. He's 74. He just had his birthday back in January.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Dad. Been working 20 years now with my father, and that's a success story in itself. You don't hear too often that, that fathers and sons work so well together, and together we've grown this company. He calls me a generation and a half because I really came in when TCC was in its infancy, but because usually the second generation ruins the company, right? Hopefully I won't do that. But my heart and soul is in this company because of my father's support. He's a wonderful, if you know him, he's a wonderful person. He's probably one of the brightest, most capable person you've ever met, and he's loyal. His loyalty is amazing. And he has, after 40 years or so in this industry, he has a very clean reputation. There's not a bad thing anyone could say about him. He's still the CEO today. He works every single day, even though he's 74. We tell him he doesn't have to. Kerry McNamara, who's the general manager at TCC, and I really run the day-to-day and have for quite a while. But when it comes to his input, it's invaluable. He really has, just the knowledge that sometimes we get frustrated and we want to make a decision, and he says, "Hey, did you think about that or this?" And we go, well, we didn't. So I think his oversight is something that I think everybody in the company really, we really love his oversight, and we're not rushing him out the door by any means. He can work as long as he wants to work. So it's been a great relationship in summary, and I love my father.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of TCC company news and giving back under our Love Chemistry campaign. If anybody's not familiar, our Love Chemistry campaign is an ongoing campaign kind of around our charitable efforts. I think it's one of the things that makes TCC stick out and stand out, and is the reason I'm definitely proud to work here is the massive effort we give and giving back to our local Jamestown community, local Rhode Island community, as well as the chemical industry and community, whether it's school organizations, different learning organizations, or just worthy causes in general. So kind of on the TCC company news, giving back front, what's going on around the office?
Well, I think short term, what's coming up is we have the science, I believe it's a science group, science club at Jamestown School coming to visit to do some science experiments and hear a little bit about what we do here at the chemical company. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with where we are, but we're on a little island in the middle of Narragansett Bay in Jamestown, Rhode Island. We're certainly not in an industrial zone. It's more of a tourist area, but our local school has about 40, 50 kids in this science club, and each year we invite them to the chemical company. We do some fun little chemical experiments, and the science professor there really enjoys it, and I think we do too. It's a great time. We had a very successful year giving back and raising $540,000 together with the Beavertail Lighthouse Museum Association to preserve Beavertail Light, which is one of the oldest lighthouses, and it's only a few miles from our office here, our corporate office in Jamestown. My sister is very involved with our giving, and we give to a lot of directly to people who are in need. There's some great stories of people that have lost a family member, don't have money. Where we buy them Christmas gifts. We buy them. We don't blow our horn on this one too much, but we're lucky to be successful, and we're lucky to be able to give back. And we do a lot of it. I mean, is there anything I'm missing, Ben, that you can think of? I mean, there's we every meeting, every 2 weeks, we talk about how our employees are, how their family is. Is there anything we can do to help them? I think as I'll echo what Ben says, this is one of the most enjoyable, most proud things about my job and my company is that we give back so much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great position to be in where we can give back so much, both locally in Jamestown, throughout Rhode Island, and kind of throughout the chemical industry. It's a good spot to be in. So that kind of wraps things up a little bit. What's coming up this month? Anything exciting? I know weather's warming up a little bit. We can think about maybe getting some boats back in the water, maybe do a little bit of fishing, hopefully sooner rather than later. Anything kind of coming up this month or anything else we missed?
Boat doesn't go in till April 15th earliest, but I think maybe, Ben, you need to comment on the mobile app that we're working on.
Yeah, so at this point, depending when this episode releases, you might actually be listening to the podcast on the mobile app, which if you are, kudos to you. But yeah, as Rob said, we have our TCC mobile app releasing sometime in March. We're really excited for it. It's been quite the project and taken a lot of time and resources to get it up and running. But kind of among our efforts to stay up to date with different technologies and different ways we can interact and give back to our customers, to our producing partners, business partners in general, as well as be of use to our own sales team and our own internal customer expert team here. It's going to be a great resource for some news around the chemical industry. We have a partnership with Petrochem Wire, giving weekly price updates and trends via them, which will be directly available through the app. There'll be a good list and resource of upcoming trade shows and events, both major trade shows that we'll be exhibiting at or attending, as well as just a good resource for smaller events we'll either be walking or maybe not even attending, but just good events that the industry should be aware of, depending on where your focus lies. So that'll be a good resource. It'll definitely be linked up on our emails and on our social media, as well as on the website when it releases, hopefully sometime in the next week or two. Definitely pre-AFPM for anyone attending AFPM, so that'll be ready to go. But I'm excited. I know we're excited to get that out there and get that going.
And it'll be available for Androids, Apple phone, everything.
Android, Apple. On the Apple front, both iPhone, iPad. It'll be fully optimized for pretty much any device that's out there, which will be nice. We got everybody in mind, and it should be very, very accessible.
We look forward to that.
Anything else, guys? Pretty much cover it.
Just want to welcome our new employee, Michaela Turnquist, and our spring intern, Corrine, who'll be working on the marketing side with Ben. And I think I talked enough.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next month.